Welcome to A View from the Tower, chance for you to learn a little more about Mount Union College. Join us as we talk with some of the very special faculty, administration, alumni, students, and friends of Mount Union. I'm Matt Smith, and together we'll discover the tradition, a tradition of excellence at Mount Union College. Throughout the program, we'll be highlighting events on the Mount Union College campus for the week of February 8th through the 15th. Starting on Sunday, February 8th, Black History Week begins at Mount Union College with various activities throughout the week. On Monday, February 9th, the Murphys Jazz Quartet from Toledo will perform in a cabaret setting at the Hoover Price Campus Center at 8 p.m. Sponsored in part by the Black Student Union, the Mount Union College Convocation Series, and WRMU FM. Our first guest today is Harold Kohlenbrander, president at Mount Union College. He took this opportunity to talk with me about himself and about the college. This is Matt Smith with A View from the Tower. Today we're talking with President Kohlenbrander, the new president of Mount Union College, and I'd like to welcome you to the college. And first of all, we'd like to ask you a few questions about your past.
Thank you, Matt. I have never been interviewed on A View from the Tower before, so this is a new, exciting experience for me. My past. Well, first of all, the students will think that past is a long, long history, since I'm so old. Actually, I'm not, but I came most recently from Central College in Pella, Iowa, where I was the provost and dean of the college for the past 11 years. And prior to that, I was involved in other administrative duties in different places, lived in Michigan for a few years, but my earliest days as a college professional, I taught chemistry. So that's a bit of my past, very brief statement with respect to my family. I have 3 grown married children, none of whom live at home anymore. So just my wife Lori and I live there at 1304 South Union, looking right out the window at our good Phytol brothers, who I'm sure will welcome us to the neighborhood. That right, Matt?
That's right. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit now about your opinion of Mount Union College coming in as a new president. What are your feelings toward the college and its liberal arts program?
The college is very, very similar to, in many ways, the college where I spent the past 11 years. It's a residential college. It's a college affiliated with a church. It's a college that has a long tradition of excellence, both in terms of the academic programs and extracurricular activities. So I'm very excited about the opportunities that we have here. And the one thing that I would want to stress, perhaps more than anything else, a motto that I think we want to follow, all of us, faculty, administrators, trustees, students. Our objective working together is to make sure that each student who comes here gets the very best education that he or she possibly can. And if we all work toward that objective, I'm quite confident that we will have a very successful experience. Some of the things that are most important to me in terms of higher education, one of the things that I think we can do best in that regard is to help students develop what I choose to call a set of their own values. It's not good enough for any of us to grow up with a set of values that reflect simply what our parents held. Neither is it good enough for us to grow up with a set of values that is centered solely on ourselves. We need rather to have an opportunity to be challenged, to think carefully about why we believe what we do, why we hold certain things important, and I think one of the most important things that a college education, particularly at a residential private liberal arts college like Mount Union, one of the most important things we can do is to help the student develop a very meaningful set of values with which they can work the rest of their lives.
The convocation for Wednesday, February 11th will feature Dr. Alvin Poussaint, the keynote speaker for Black History Week in Presser Recital Hall at 10 a.m. Yost Osborne, Mount Union College historian, took this opportunity to talk with us about a little history at the college.
Welcome to the Mount Union College Historical Series with Yost Osborne.
This is Yost Osborne, librarian at Mount Union College, talking to you about some of the early history on the campus of Mount Union College. This time I want to talk to you about a very familiar landmark on the campus lakes. There was a time, of course, when there were no lakes, and although over 100 years ago the president of the college, O.N. Hartshorn, was much interested in having lakes, he even went to the point of having a student who not only was a student but also a member of the faculty, I. Thornton Osmond, make several topographical surveys of the campus and to find the best spot for an artificial lake. Nothing came of it. Hartshorn, who had been to Europe and had been much impressed by the fountains at the Palace of Versailles, attempted to compensate for this at least by having pictures of the campus at that time showing fountains spurting water. Nothing was done as far as artificial fountains or lakes until about 1914, when the Elliott Hall and Lambourne Hall were completed. And in order to fill in the dirt around the excavations there, dirt was taken from a low spot where the lakes now are. Originally there had been a brickyard, a small brick plant there, and this was a depression. The water settled in that. Dirt was taken from there to fill in around Lambourne and Elliott Halls. At that time, the College Women's Club was a great promoter, as they are today, of all college projects. And some of the women in that organization conceived the idea of beautifying the area around the college lakes. And they declared November 16th and 17th, 1916, a community frolic day, and they invited members of the community, especially men and companies which had teams of horses and heavy equipment, to donate their services to level and landscape this area. On the morning of November 16th, which was a cool, frosty morning, the college band climbed on the back of an old truck and rode around through the streets of Alliance, blaring forth the news that this was the day for the community frolic. By 9:30, over 150 men from the community and 20 teams of horses had gathered by the Columbian Gate on Union Avenue. It was gaily decorated with the college colors, royal purple and other flags. A bonfire was there for anyone who cared to get warm, and the frolic got underway. H.L. Flint, the representative of A.D. Taylor, the landscape architect of Cleveland, was there to supervise the operations. It's interesting to note that Mrs. James Vaughn, one of the leaders in the College Women's Club, had appeared at the college chapel the week before and made the proud boast that her husband Jimmy could shovel more dirt than any three professors, whereupon Professor Burr, Professor Cribbs, and Professor Headland challenged him. Unfortunately, Dean Bowman, who was to keep track and be the judge, lost track of the count, and so no winner was declared. The Women's Club prepared a large dinner, which was served by the Elliott Hall girls in Lambourne Hall. 200 men were served on Friday, 100 on Saturday. And then the girls' glee club serenaded from the steps of Elliott Hall as the men came out from eating. As an added incentive, W.A. Harris, the general manager of the Federal Development Company, took a motion picture of the workers. The picture was shown in the downtown motion pictures that evening, and it was noted that more dirt was moved in the half hour that the camera was on than in the 2 hours following it. It was called a park. Many businessmen sent money who couldn't be there. The grounds were beautified, and that was the start of the campus lakes, which were to mirror the columns of Elliott Hall, and which has served as a landmark on this campus since. This has been Yost Osborne, librarian at Mount Union College, talking to you about some of the past of Mount Union.
The Mount Union College Purple Raider men's basketball team battles the Yellow Jackets of Baldwin Wallace on Wednesday, February 11th. Game time, 7:30 p.m. And on Saturday, February 14th, the Lady Purple Raiders take on Heidelberg College at the Timken Gymnasium. Game time, 2 p.m. All of the events listed in today's program are open to the public. For further information concerning any of the events, call the college at 821-5320. Once again, the number 821-5320. You have been listening to A View from the Tower, a weekly radio magazine devoted to the people of Mount Union College. A View from the Tower is written and produced by the staff of WRMU FM under the supervision of Station Director Charles R. Morford. Continuity and final production by Matt Smith. Join us next week when our guests on A View from the Tower will include Dorothy Davis, Dean of Women at the college. The preceding program was a presentation of WRMU FM, a service of Mount Union College in Alliance, Ohio.